President Trump's been laying out today what he will tell Vladimir Putin when he meets the Russian president at their summit in Alaska on Friday.
I'm going in to speak to Vladimir Putin, and I'm going to be telling him, you got to end this war, you got to end it. And he wasn't going to mess with me. The next meeting will be with Zelensky and Putin, or Zelensky and Putin and me. There'll be some swapping, there'll be some changes in land, and the word that they will use is, they make changes. We're going to change the lines, the battle lines. I'm then going to call up President Zelensky and the European leaders right after the meeting, yeah. And I'm going to tell them what kind of a deal. I'm not going to make a deal. It's not up to me to make a deal. I think a deal should be made.
Now, President Trump also said that Mr. Zelensky could attend Friday's summit, but suggested that would be pointless. And he said he may end up speaking with the Ukrainian president before then. You're getting an idea. The German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, has invited Presidents Trump, Zelensky and European leaders to a virtual meeting on Wednesday, as EU officials worry they will be sidelined. Joining me now is the former Lithuanian foreign minister, Gabrielius Landsbergis, who's a veritable academic and expert in all these matters. You're joining us tonight from Greece. I know, sir, you are worried, as a student of history, you are worried that carving up land in post-war settlements never ends well. Am I right?
You're absolutely right, and especially in Central and Eastern Europe. We've been here before. We've been here in 1938. We've been there in 1945 after the war, when half of the Europe was left to Stalin and was left to endure the occupation for decades, actually for more than 60 years. And when we hear now leaders of countries speaking, it sounds very much like 1945 Conference of Yalta, one example.
Okay, so let's just assume that Putin and Trump, two strong men, come to some sort of arrangement. But Zelensky won't go for it, either legally because he's got to put it to his parliament, or it's a land, it's the Donbass and it's Kharkiv and it's the eastern part, and Zelensky won't go for it. But he does need Trump. He needs the arms. So pressure gets put to bear. What should Europe do in that scenario? Because we've got the potential here for classic Euro fudge.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was reminded of one particular historic event when Stalin asked Churchill to give up Poland. And then Churchill felt that he does not have power to withstand Stalin's pressure, so he gave all the pressure to Poland. He pressured Poles to give in to Stalin's requests. So I hope that Europe is not going to repeat Churchill's mistake, meaning that they would, instead of helping Ukraine, they would not put pressure on Ukraine.
Right, but what should Europe do if Trump is putting pressure on Zelensky to do a deal for land that Zelensky, do or die? What does the EU position take?
Well, help Zelensky resist the pact. Help Zelensky resist the deal. Just don't take it. Don't agree with it. Just if United States decides that it wants to participate in something as shameful as a pact with Putin, well, maybe there's no way to stop it. But let's not be part of it. And Europe needs to be reminded and not forget that it is also a power. It has ability to help Ukraine in the many ways that that have not been tried. One of them is taking the Russian frozen assets that are lying there in Belgian bank, 190 billion euros, that could help Ukraine to sustain their defense effort for years to come. This is what Europe can do.
You know better than I do. Europe has the power and can do that, but won't either, because its structures of decision-making are so antiquated, sclerotic, or you end up with an Orban in Hungary that won't go along from it, and then von der Leyen and Costa have to do side deals and run around the continent trying to do things off the table.
Well, on one sense, you're right. But, one example could be the so-called coalition of the willing, which also, leaves a lot to be desired. But I mean, if European Union cannot achieve results, then maybe a group of countries could achieve results. There were talks, for example, about sending troops to Ukraine to sustain the peace, to give more leverage on Ukrainian side. Right, so you don't need European Union for that. The countries that gathered in London and Paris had several meetings, could decide these sort of things. If they don't, if Europe is unable, well, then I'm sorry, but then we're headed for disaster. Then, Putin will just not stop in Ukraine, and then Europe will be forced to wake up, but in a very, very brutal manner.
Gabrielius, you're in Greece. I hope we can come back to you in the days ahead when we see how this is playing out. And you are one of the world's experts on these areas. I'm grateful to you for joining us tonight. Thank you, sir.